What's up, guys? Welcome to July 11th. So we're going to be rolling here in a few minutes. I normally start, let's just say 3-5 minutes after, give some people some time to roll in, and we'll get rolling from there, guys. So give us 1 minute, we'll get rolling. This is all going to be about headspace today. So going through how to recognize maybe some good things or even bad things when walking into sales environments, aka our clients' offices, and things you can recognize, notice, and use to be able to create a conversation. So we'll get started in a few minutes here, guys. And yeah, thank you for joining. Anybody today that's on the call so far got some good takeaways, maybe some wins to be able to talk about, or maybe even something where you've taken part of the training, applied some of the questions, and used it to your benefit, right? Got some qualification, even disqualification, because disqualifying a client is absolutely okay. We do not want to bid every opportunity that comes to us. Because again, we want to position ourselves as an expert. We want to be able to add value based upon the time, the energy, everything that we put into it. So would love to hear some feedback. I know I deal with a handful of the contractors that are part of my teams throughout the week, but would love some feedback from you guys. Go ahead, tag it inside the chat. If we have time toward the end of this, we might dissect it, go a little bit deeper, and run through. But if you guys are just rolling in, give us probably about 2-3 minutes, and we'll get rolling and go from there. I know the Northeast is getting slammed as far as weather. So I know everyone up there is having some aggressive times as far as keeping everything rolling. So, and we also have other parts that are still extremely dry. So using the weather to be able to kind of, I'll say, influence sales. We talk about pain and those kind of different things in these meetings, and the pain will never be bigger for the client than when they're having the actual problem. So remember that, guys, because if it's dry, right, and it hasn't rained for 2 or 3 weeks, that's 2 or 3 weeks of the client ultimately forgetting about the pain that they had, right? It sucked when they had it because they had to do all of this work. Now they're getting bids for it. Well, it hasn't rained inside 2 weeks, and that pain gets less and less every day that goes out. And as a trusted advisor, we have to make sure that they understand the ROI. They understand that, again, the next time it rains, this is going to happen again, or more than likely will happen again. And how do you take that step from being a reactionary contractor, from if you have an issue, call me, into, hey, I can help you prevent this from happening, and really adding the ROI, the value, and keeping them in loop of, you're not just buying a roof repair, you're buying protection for your building, for the most part, insurance. A lot of times I've seen some really interesting sales tactics on preventative maintenance go that way. So 2 more minutes and we'll get rolling. If anybody doesn't have their Duncan, I'd go for it, unless you're in the Northwest where it doesn't exist. But everybody else, hats off. One thing I do want to do moving forward, guys, so everybody that's on here, normally toward the end of these 8-week areas, we do role plays. I would love to be able to have a few of you come on, especially if you've been executing the 4D sales process, the questions, all that kind of different plays in. I know it takes a lot to be able to step up. Jim, you've done it. Thank you so much. Cody, you've been on it. So thank you guys for stepping up and doing it. If you want a chance at redemption, I only say that because Cody asked for it. But if you want to do it again, I would love to, because It's one thing to train on this, and I always say this, it's another thing to actually use it out in the field. It's one thing to show up for 45, 60 minutes right here. You're a part of it, it's great. It sounds like a good idea. If you're not taking this and using it in the field, if you're not taking the questions and asking these questions, or taking all of the resources that David and I are giving you guys and using it inside the field, I don't want to say your time is wasted, but it's definitely not as efficient or effective as it could be. All right. We're going to roll. So first off, welcome, guys. No reps left behind. My name is Chad Westbrook, and we'll see if slides are my friend today or not. All right. So my name is Chad Westbrook. I'm the founder of Service Alignment. If you guys haven't checked it out, or if you're joining because of Facebook invites or YouTube or wherever it is, thank you guys for joining in. We are going through a 8-week process at this point right now, which is talking about the 4D sales process, which we'll dive into a little bit deeper. And this is just a small part when you talk about a world-class service division. You have to have the lead development side. So just as you guys know, inside sales, leads are key. Leads is how you grow your business. So lead development, then we talk about sales, which once you get the lead, we got to be able to qualify or even disqualify it, which is why we're all here. And then at the end of the day, your service team, whether it be production or the service side, is responsible for ultimately fulfilling the promises that you guys make. So when you guys sell something, think about this. They sign a piece of paper with the hope, right? There's a contract to it, but the hope that you guys are going to fulfill on the promises that you made. And that's ultimately the scope of work, the outcome, the pain, the ROI, all of that stuff is all assumed when they sign the piece of paper. And what they're doing is they're basically signing a commitment with you that you're going to get them to their goal, right? We come into this and we always talk about problem or goal. And at the end of the day, we're getting them to their goal. So when they sign that piece of paper, your job as a sales rep is not done. And we're going to do some side steps from the 8 weeks here and talk about that handoff. But that's something really, really important to know, is that if you guys want more work from the same clients, that's called scaling your business, right? Growing your business is getting new customers. One of the hardest things that you guys will ever do. Scaling your business is getting more from the existing customers that you have. So if you're the business that you guys are doing right now, the jobs that the guys are out on site, if you guys want to do work with that customer again, your operational team needs to deliver on that promise. So as a sales rep, you have to make sure that you have a good connection with your operational team, because if you're making promises and the operational team doesn't know those promises, it's not going to allow you to be able to scale your business, and you're going to forever be hunting, right? You're going to be hunting for new work. So if you feel that way, if you're new to the thing, I know I got some new salesmen that are jumping inside here. If you're new, guess what, guys? That's what you got to do. Building a new book of business is one of the hardest things that you will ever do. But if you also are envious or also mad at some of the sales reps that you see sitting back, golfing on Wednesday or wherever it is, and still exceeding goals, it's because they have those relationships. They have that reoccurring revenue that's coming in because they make a promise to a customer and the operational side delivers on that promise. So the customer comes back again. And that's what we're talking about in this whole trusted advisor, everything that we're going through, guys, is to make sure that you don't have to hunt every day. Some days it's okay to farm. Most days it's okay to farm, especially if you have a customer. So think about this in your book of business. And this is all kind of pretense to what we're going in, guys, but think about your book of business. Think about all of the properties that your customer has, or think about the customer you have that has the most properties. How many of those do you actually service? How many of those does he give work to another roofer? Now, you might not be able to have 100% of their portfolio. A good property or facility manager isn't going to put all his eggs in one basket. That's okay. But what is the percentage that you guys can get? And becoming the trusted advisor that we're talking about, helping him solve problems rather than just being a phone number to call that says roofing contractor. I've been in that world. It sucks. So make the transition into that trusted advisor side. David is not with us today, so I'm going to spare you this side. But David is really the mastermind behind the technology. So when we talk about the workspace, that kind of different stuff, David's a huge part of that. He's been ultimately a partner and a mentor to me for several years. And as he comes back in, you guys know the value that he brings. Very deep inside what he does, the workspace, all that stuff is absolutely fabulous. We'll talk about that as we kind of get further. My one request to you guys is that if you enjoy this, share it. I know I say this, and I'm going to challenge all you guys to it because it's so easy to get off this and just not do anything with it. I'm here. You guys don't pay anything to be here. I'm here for a couple different reasons. One, if I can help you guys get better at sales, it makes everybody's life easier because then I don't have to go into situations where customers literally hate their contractors. And you guys know what I'm talking about. When someone gets screwed over or they don't fulfill the job, they take the deposit, they leave. I mean, we've all heard horror stories about it. I don't want our industry to be known like that. And it doesn't mean we're all going to be part of the 1%, but what I'm asking you guys is to be able to share this. Send it to a friend, send it to someone else that you're working with. It doesn't matter. Share it on your Facebook or share it on your LinkedIn. That's all I ask for me to be able to keep running these things and keep doing them for you guys. So handful of different ways to do it. I'd love if you tag me because then I can know about it, especially if we're not friends on Facebook or LinkedIn, but game on. So we're talking about the 4D sales process. So 4Ds is the way that we built this. And the first three are pretty straightforward. Discovery, I got a fly that won't leave me alone. Discovery, first one, right? So that's going in. Think about going to a doctor's office. And the first thing that's going to happen is the nurse is going to come in. She's going to take your pulse, all that kind of different stuff. She's just seeing what's going on. We're taking the vitals. That's what you guys are doing. There is no difference inside what a doctor's office does to what you guys do, because when a roof fails, that is ultimately a trip to the doctor. The doctor come into the roof because there is a failure in that asset. The same as if you guys have a failure in your immune system. You have to do the correct discovery to understand truly what's going on. Then you get into the diagnosis part. Once you get into the diagnosis part, it means that you've done all of the different steps, right? You've asked the questions to be able to truly figure out what the problem is. And it's not the problem that I got a cough. The problem is truly much deeper than that. And we talk about creating those bigger problems inside some of the other ones, other sessions that we've done. So that's diagnosis, figuring out what the true larger issue is, right? It's just not a roof leak. It's a disruption, it's damaged product, it's lawsuits, whatever it might be. The demonstration side is absolutely huge because if you want to get a job, I highly recommend that you position yourself as an expert. Nobody wants to go in and hire someone that doesn't have proven success of solving the problem or proving success as being able to get it there. So I'm challenging you guys this because it's so easy to be able to live inside, I'll say, that commodity world. And I see it all the time where, you know what, the proposal's ready, hurry, send it off, email it. And you get rid of it. And then all of a sudden you wait for a response that sometimes never comes. My next challenge to you guys, what is your sales rate? What's your churn rate? How long does it take you guys to be able to sell a new lead? How long does it take you guys to be able to sell a quote? Once you deliver a quote, what's the average amount of days that it takes for your customer to award it? That date, that number is very important because that number is your average, which means every proposal that you deliver, you're working that far ahead in your book of business. So discovery, diagnosis, demonstration. The reason we do this is because we want our client to make a decision and not just like, yeah, we're going to go with him. He's the low price. We want him to make a decision based upon confidence of you guys being able to get him to his goal, right? First question, people sit down with me. They typically have a problem or a goal that they're trying to achieve. Boom, that's awesome. Now you have the end in mind. Now you know where you're going and then creating that roadmap to be able to get them there. So the 4D process is aligned through that. We create the perfect buyer's journey for that same reason, which is the 3 check boxes. You guys should have, and if you don't, email me, I'll get it to you, the questions that are connected into these 3 check boxes. I've even made small little booklets that I've emailed, or not emailed, mailed to some of my customers that they're using because they're not using an iPad or anything out inside the field. I could truly have one right here. So it's the real world side of it, guys, right? I created this, and I created this so you can literally be sitting there with a customer, having a conversation with them, and it looks no different than you guys asking the questions. What I'm saying is you have to have a process. And that's what we're training throughout this series is the process for you guys to be able to ask the right questions to either qualify or disqualify that customer. So do they need to act? You have to be honest with yourself, guys. Do they truly have a problem that is big enough that they're going to spend money on to fix? That's number one. Number two, do they need outside help? Do they need new help? right? Facility managers that have done the work themselves. They've done it for years. Telemarketing called in, set the meeting. And guess what? He's sitting at his desk and he says, yeah, come on in, I'll talk to you. That's where you really need to ask yourself, or more importantly, ask your customer, why am I here? And it's okay to ask that question, right? It's okay to say, okay, why am I sitting in the office? If you guys do your own work, you do your own repairs, how can I bring value to you? I'm just wondering. Because at the end of the day, he doesn't want to waste his time any more than you want to waste your time. So getting those questions aligned, do they actually need to spend money to fix the problem, right? Or are they just going to deal with it? Do they need outside help? And then do you have the best solution? I've been inside companies that do through wall flashing. I wasn't even close to understanding what that was, let alone trying to sell it. So are you guys truly equipped? Do you guys have success stories? Are you guys going to be able to do your best work if you sell that job? As a sales rep, I know how easy it is to say yes to something, right? It's, oh, yeah, no, we can water test that HVAC unit. We can do this, we can do that. Understand what you do great, because sometimes you will get more customers from saying no than you would from saying yes. And if you've been in the industry long enough, you've probably had the time where you've said yes to a customer, you've gotten your service team out there, they've screwed it up, the client gets upset with you, and then you never get another job from them because the one opportunity that you had, you screwed up. That's reality, guys. So make sure that you guys have the best solution. Make sure that what you are bidding actually aligns to what your company does. Now, if you're a general contractor and you take care of multiple different things, if you're self-producing it, I still challenge you with that, because people have skills. Teams and crews have skills. Now, if you're a general contractor and you're subcontracting everything out, whole different world. I won't say it's a whole different sales process, but to each their own. So as a roofing contractor, guys, as a service contractor, these 3 check boxes are everything for you guys to be able to qualify or disqualify. Okay, disqualify means that you are not going to pursue that job. And it's okay to tell the customer that. It's okay to tell him, hey, I don't think this is the best fit for us based upon what we do. Again, integrity, guys, truthfulness, to be able to say, hey, we specialize in commercial roofing, everything on top of the roof. Unfortunately, I can't help you with your below grade waterproofing issue. It's okay to say that, because you're still acting as a trusted advisor. You're still giving him some type of solution, right? Especially if you've done the diagnosis and you know what the problem is. If it's not connected to your trade, it's okay, guys. Understand and say, hey, what's it going to take for us to be able to get the next project that comes through? So discover and disqualify, it's extremely important. So like I said, we are going to be going through Headspace. So we're going to be going through Headspace, the visuals of walking in, and I'm going to put myself as an outside sales rep going to meet with individuals. So if you are inside sales, you can change it around. You can probably understand what's going on. And again, you get photos, you know what's going on, right? As I'll say a top contractor, you have photos that are coming in, you have CRMs that you're using, and ultimately you have the questions that can help you qualify and disqualify. So I'm going to act as if I'm an outside sales rep. I'm going to walk through this. If you guys have questions throughout this, tag them inside the chat. David's not here to be able to obviously jump back and forth with you guys, but I will make the time to do it, and we'll also go through it at the end for any questions that you have. So the one thing that I can tell you is do not be distracted. I know how easy it is when you have a million different things to do. You're running late to the meeting, which means you're going to run late to the next meeting. Do everything inside your power to clear your head, guys. Because if you're taking the time, the energy, the effort, the gas money, all of those different things that some of them don't even have a value to them, right? Like the hours in a day don't have value to them, but you have to use them efficiently. Clear your head. You should not be thinking about the next meeting, what emails you have, what phone calls you do, what you're doing, what you need to get done, how long the meeting will last, right? With exceptions for respect to the customer. There is one individual that I meet with that's a part of my subcontracting team, and they always ask the question, is now still a good time to meet with you? And it's the same question every single time, but it's the respect side of saying, hey, I know we only had a half hour scheduled. Do you care if we push a little bit longer to take care of this? It goes a long ways from assuming that you can take an hour and a half from a 30-minute meeting to asking for permission and having that give take right? To make sure that they're engaged. So you shouldn't be thinking of that. I am going to go off track a little bit. I absolutely have an addiction to my phone. And I'm sorry, I admit it. But I've done different things to be able to help me. So if you guys are in the same boat, one, I don't wear an Apple Watch. I do it on purpose. I had it for about 2 weeks and it absolutely made me crazy every time that it would ding, phone, anything else like that. Yes, I know you can turn it off. I don't do it. It's a distraction to me and it doesn't allow me to be present in the meetings that I'm in. Number two, my phone, if I have it, it's turned off and the screen is upside down. So if you are an individual that takes your phone out of your pocket when you sit down or something like that, I encourage you to be able to do whatever you can to take those distractions out, okay? Turn the phone off if you have to. Turn the phone upside down, lay it there, get distractions going so you can truly be in the headspace with your customer and get to a point to where you can be invested and be focusing, right, on spending your time there. So when you pull in the parking lot, so assuming outside sales, read the building, guys, because how they take care of their building, how they take care of the parking lot, the landscape, everything else can tell you a million things about it. Because if they're not taking care of landscaping, there's potholes all over, they haven't seal coated in like 36 years, it's going to allow you to be able to understand, okay, I'm meeting with a facility manager that doesn't take care of his facility. Those are questions and disqualifications that you can not, I'm not telling you to walk away, drive away, but you can say, hey, what's going on? How long have you guys moved into the building? What are some things that are a priority to you? You can hint around on different things. You know, I also saw some windows that are broken outside. Is that something you guys are looking to get taken care of? Those are the types of things that you might want to ask customers to be able to better understand how he manages his building. If you're looking for someone that is a proactive customer, right? Someone who is sought after, someone who makes decisions before problems happen, and you pull inside the parking lot and you got broken windows, landscaping issues, all kinds of different things, you might change your presentation. You might change your questions to be able to tailor to see, okay, how do you take care of issues like this, so on and so on, going down the 4D process. So when you pull in, read the building, guys. It can tell you a boatload about what's going on, specifically on the maintenance of the outside. The next thing is when you walk in, so you say you walk in the room, so I'm talking about the office, sitting area, different things like that. How inviting is the space? And I say that because I've been in all kinds of different spaces. When you walk into a multi-billion-dollar grocery store chain, the interior is absolutely beautiful. When I walk into a manufacturing side, it's stained walls that have hands all over the side of it. It's a different environment. But again, just like the outside of the building, the inside can actually tell you stuff about the building as well. Do they have awards or plaques or anything like that on the wall? Do they have a mission statement? That is absolutely amazing if there's stories, success stories, different things like that on the walls that you can tie in to be able to help them. We have a farm and fleet, a local farm and fleet company, right? Building that's by us. And on the wall, they have lost time incident. And it's a running clock of how many days they went without a lost time incident. That is an amazing thing as a roofing professional to come in, because roofs leak, water gets on the floor. That's a slip fall hazard, which can directly affect their lost time. So understand what's on the walls, understand some of that stuff. It can help you get to the point of understanding, right, what the customer does, what the company is proud of, and how they kind of manage it. So read the outside of the building, read the room on what's going on when you go in and you're waiting for your customer. And then finally, as you guys are assuming probably at this point, read his office. So sorry, it's going slow inside. So when you walk into their office, nothing else matters but the problem or goals that they're trying to get to. So you can read a lot of different stuff when it comes to this. So again, what's on the walls? Because this is his space now. So you outside of the building, that's the company. The entranceway, right? That's what's going to introduce you. That's what introduces everybody who comes to that building to what that company is about. And then when you walk into his office, that's his personal space, right? Especially on facility maintenance, something like that. If you walk into a conference room, different area. But when you walk in there, so what's on his desk? Is there fishing stuff? Is there sports memorabilia? Is there pictures of his kids? Look at that kind of different things, because those are conversation pieces. That is how you break that wall between contractor, right, and client, to be able to say, hey, I'm a person, I have integrity, I'm here to be able to help you, I'm taking that step toward that trusted advisor. Take that time, guys. Break apart from that. It'll tell you how they manage, right? What's on their desk? Do they have piles of papers that are just big piles of paper? Will tell you kind of how they manage it. If there's nothing on there, it can intrigue questions like of how, are you digital? Where do you guys keep your records? Again, so on and so on, where you can ask good questions. Now, everything that I've worked through so far that I've told you about, the headspace, the walking and all of that stuff, acknowledge that it has nothing to do with any of the questions that we have asked yet, but it does influence our understanding of where we are at, how they interact, what's the story of the company, and how you guys can help position yourself as an expert. I noticed that you had last time incident on the walls. Do you guys proactively take care of problems before they happen? Those types of different things can tie right in, especially if you're having a good conversation with the right people. The other thing that I'm going to push on a little bit, guys, is asking everybody, challenging, I'll say everybody, not asking, to encourage different perspectives. And when I say that, this is podcasts. This is books. And when I say books, I'm not talking about sitting down every night and reading. I'm talking about you guys sitting inside a car, again, outside sales rep, right? How much time do you spend inside a car? How much time do you spend listening to the radio or whatever it is that you might, where you can transform that time? Everybody has 24 hours in a day. So how are you going to use that 24 hours to be able to make yourself better? And that's where I'm going to challenge you guys to be able to see different perspectives. There are good books, there are bad books, and that is all an opinion on my side because they're written from the side of the author. I can give you a handful of recommendations on what to go after. 4-Hour Workweek is one of them, guys. So if you haven't checked out 4-Hour Workweek, I love it for the fact that it teaches one person to operate a business independently. That's really the outside of it. How can you travel the world and still be connected to everything that you need to do and automate it? As a sales rep, this is so important to you guys because if you do not want to be in your office at 4 p.m. on a Friday, entering things into the CRM, so on Monday morning, your numbers are good for the sales meeting that you're in, you have to have a process. You have to have some way of being able to get it into the system and being able to understand resources and even virtual assistants to a certain point of how they can help you be more efficient. Because at the end of the day, as a sales rep, you guys are there to be able to sell contracts. But there's steps you have to take, right? You need a lead. The lead had to turn into a quote. The quote's got to turn into a sale. So the more time that you could be sitting in your client's office, getting contracts signed is the more money that you guys will make. So think about that when you start positioning your week. What jobs am I going to sell is number one. What quotes am I going to deliver and what leads are coming in? And understanding that stuff will be able to help you. So 4-Hour Workweek is number one. Never Split the Difference is number two. This is an amazing book. It is based upon hostage negotiation. So international hostage negotiation, where Chris Voss is talking about ultimately life and death if a negotiation goes wrong. In sales, we are always in negotiation, right? Because we're trying to get a client from their current reality to where they want to be. So this book is absolutely fabulous. It does turn quickly into the book from obviously international hostage negotiation into business. And the difference is in business, when you lose a deal, no one dies. In the FBI, in international hostage negotiation. So it's a great book. I love this kind of stuff because, again, it's very strategic, talks about a lot of different ways, mirroring things to be able to create more emphasis, which as a trusted advisor, guys, you have to do that. You have to bring clarity to your client because a lot of times his perception is reality. This book can feed in absolutely fabulous to all of that. The last thing that I'll recommend is Getting Things Done. This is a book based upon efficiency. So when you have 100 things to do in a day, and I always ask this question in an interview, when you have more things in a day than what is humanly capable to complete, what do you do? How do you take that? Because I'm sure every one of us on this right now has things to be able to do. Now, you guys have taken the choice, you've made the choice to be here with me and walk through this. Thank you for that. But again, the only way that this actually applies is if you use this inside the field, you increase your sales, you increase your average contracts, and you ultimately start spending the time with the people that check the 3 boxes, right? Big enough problem, outside services, and then obviously the right solution. So jumping through that stuff. So we're going to talk about the 3 steps to jump through, guys. Again, as I go through this, questions, concerns, anything else like that, go ahead, jump them in there, and I'll roll them. I'm going to take a quick sec here. All right, we're good. All right, so step one of knocking this out is know your numbers. We've already talked about this, right? How long does it take you once you create a lead, how long does it take you to sell? So that is lead all the way to sold. That's your first number that you need to understand. So that's your lead conversion ratio, right? So lead, how many of those actually convert into a sale? But I'm going to break it down even deeper than that. How many of those leads actually convert into a meeting? Just because telemarketing set it up, just because he called the office, just because he emailed you, said he was interested, what's the percentage of those individuals that actually attend a meeting with you? That's the first number you need to know. So leads developed by meetings completed. Okay, that means they showed up. That's the easiest way to think about it. Raise a hands real quick on the people we have in here for how many people know that number right now. I'm going to force you guys to participate. And I can't see you, so if you're like raising your hand, anything is that I can't see you. So you have to like actually go into like emoji or something like that and hit it. That's a sad number. There's not enough. All right, so figure that number out, guys. That's number one, lead conversion ratio. How many leads that you run inside a week to how many of those show up. Take that number. The bigger time span that you guys have is the more accurate the number is going to be. You can't take 1 week. You can't take 1 month. We need like 3+ months worth of time to be able to understand what that ratio is. All right, number 2, meeting conversion ratio, which means you had the lead attended the meeting. Now, how many of those meetings actually turn into a proposal or a quote? That's number 2. So I'm going to challenge. I'm going to keep talking inside here, but raise your hands. How many people know their meeting completed ratio or the meeting conversion ratio? This means they checked the boxes, guys. This means that they have a problem big enough that they need to spend money. They need outside help, and that you guys are aligned to deliver the solution that they need to get to their goal. Challenge number 2 inside here, right? Number 1, figure out your lead conversion. Number 2, figure out your meeting conversion, because all 3 of these are going to play in, guys. So understand, how many meetings did you run this week, this month, this year, to how many proposals did you deliver? And yes, it is absolutely possible to have more proposals. You should have more proposals than meetings completed. And I say that because once you run a meeting, that might result inside 1 opportunity, but what you want to do is create more. You want to farm, right? We talked about that farming and hunting mentality. The farming side is that you are now doing more business with that customer. You are now scaling with him. He's like, hey, I got a couple more projects you want to take a look at. Understand that. So that number should be bigger. It's okay if it's bigger. Allows us to be able to understand where that's at. So they check the boxes. And then number 3 is quote to conversion ratio. I'm going to assume we have a handful of people that can have their hand up, I hope, that understand what is their close ratio. So how many of those quotes that you delivered turns into a sold proposal? I talk about these numbers because it's insane how accurate they are over a duration of time. Once you guys understand what these numbers are and how you can change these numbers, it allows you to be so much more effective and understand what needs to happen within a given day, a given week, a month, quarter, so on and so on. So what does that mean? It means they signed on the line that is dotted, guys. It means they executed the contract, they gave you the work, you delivered a proposal, and they bought. It is way too common that everyone tracks their close ratio, their quote conversion ratio. It's way too common that they understand those numbers and they don't understand the other numbers that are in front of it. Because what really happens is that when you guys are meeting with new customers, that's time that doesn't get you anything. When you are delivering proposals, that's time that doesn't get you anything. The only thing that actually truly allows you guys to win the game is the proposals that turn into a sale. So wouldn't you rather have more proposals that turn into a sale? the way you do that is you spend less time with the people who are kicking tires, less time with the people who are not checking all of the boxes, and more time with the people that you know have a problem big enough to act, da, 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 da. See what I'm saying here? This is the trusted advisor side, guys. All right, so we're going to go through this real quick just to be able to explain how this works. So you have 100 meetings, 80% of those leads convert, which means you run 80 meetings. 37% of those meetings actually convert inside a quote. And out of that, 10 actually sell. So this is what your conversion ratio or your funnel, right? Everybody heard of a sales funnel. This is what your sales funnel would look like. This would allow you to be able to say, okay, based upon these numbers, guys, if you want to sell 10 jobs, you need 100 leads. So take a look at this. You want to sell 10 jobs, you need 100 leads. Sounds crazy, right? Based upon these numbers, guys, this is where it sits. This is how the stuff looks when we talk about managing our business. How do you get more? Well, you find more clients that have a bigger issue that need to do. So we don't have to deliver 30 quotes. We don't have to run 30 or 80 meetings. Technically, you want that meeting side to be high, right? But you're qualifying what's happening there. So you're spending your time where it truly needs to be. You're understanding your qualifications, which is all part of the lead development side. So when you look at this, you have 100 leads that are in, you sell 10 jobs, it means you have a 10% lead to sale conversion ratio. Any questions on this, guys? Tag it inside the chat. I'm hoping that you guys are getting it and running with it, or at least writing it down so we can start talking about some of this stuff and getting deeper into the sales process as we push forward with no reps left behind. All right. So this is what David calls the magic trick, and he explains it. I won't say better than me, but I'll try to outdo him at this point right now. What we're talking about is taking a small incremental improvement throughout the funnel. So when we look at meetings right now, we have 100 leads that come in, 70% of the meetings actually convert. What we're talking about is 10%. If we can improve each part of the funnel 10%, and this is what makes sales work is about. You guys will hear something that we roll out in the next couple of weeks called War Room, which is actually a sales leadership side, which is going to focus specifically on this, which is increasing the funnel. 10%, right? 10% more meetings, 10% more quotes, 10% more sales ultimately can result inside massive, massive improvement inside your guys' book of business. So again, taking a look at this, right? If we were to the 70% conversion ratio, now I'm messing everything up. We were to change that just 10%. Our quotes, we were to change that just 10%, right? So I'm not talking about much. I'm talking about a 10% change can take it from $441,000 into over $1 million. And this is what I've done with my sales teams, is to be able to focus not on flipping the world upside down, not on finding a new sales process that works, but taking what you guys have and just making small tweaks to it. And if you can make a small tweak, right, even a quarter, right? And I say a quarter as far as time frame, sorry. But if you can even take 1 quarter and make a small tweak into your book of business, you can make massive amounts of improvement when it comes to the numbers that you guys are selling, the commission that you guys are getting, and ultimately the raw success of what you guys are bringing together. So this brings it in. This talks about a 5% difference. So again, it's about incremental movement within it. So what we're talking about is discover and disqualify. We're talking about better close ratio, using your time right, getting yourself in the right headspace. It's okay to say no. It's the biggest takeaway from this, guys. It's okay to say no. It's okay to be able to tell the client that you're not the best fit for them, because you'll walk away with more integrity than you ever would accepting the job, bombing it, and then trying to recover from it. So what I do want to talk about is the workspace a little bit, because we don't have a lot of time normally in these trainings to dive through the workspace. So it's a 3-step process as I kind of went through this. Number 1 is asking the right questions, which is really what we teach here. The second step to this is putting a proposal or solution together that the customer ultimately understands. And I say that because the longer that I've been in this industry is the more and more less educated and less professional roofers that I deal with. And I say that because there are different generations coming in, my generation, even after my generation, that ultimately don't know anything about roofing. They know data, they know how to manage, they know how to manage people, they know how to manage data, they know how to manage databases, but they truly don't understand roofing. So as a roofer, you guys have to be that trusted advisor. You have to help them make the right decision for their building. And that's where the whole trusted advisor, that's where everything comes in, where you guys can truly be able to do it. So what I'm telling you is don't deliver a proposal that has nothing. That fly is still killing me. That has nothing to do with the goal that you're trying to get them to. Okay. That's what you guys really need to focus on. If there's something that you guys can put for a Q3 goal to be able to go from where you are right now to just absolutely phenomenal, I promise you, I guarantee, guys, if you can change from being I delivered a scope of work to this customer into I delivered a way to get them to their goal, your close ratio will increase dramatically. But it's not going to happen when you guys send an email with a title that says, whatever it is, store 123 proposal, and you just have the proposal attached to it. That's not going to do it. You guys have to find a way to differentiate yourself, because your competition, all the other contractors you're going up against, are doing the same thing. And what your client is doing, as he or she is not educated in being a professional buyer, is looking at the scope of work, making the determination based upon not having accurate knowledge of what's best for them. And that's what this whole 4D sales process is about, is trying to figure out what is the best solution for them. What's the best process to get them to their goal? So if you guys can change that, if you guys can convert just that little bit, that 10%, even if it is drafting the email, even if it is meeting with your customer and starting to make that change into saying, hey, I know we talked about your goal being X. Here's how this proposal gets you there. And bridge that gap. That's going to be a huge part. The real part that you want to do it, guys, it costs absolutely nothing to you at this point right now, is to start using this workspace. This workspace will allow you to be able to take all the questions and put it inside a way that you guys can ultimately deliver it to your customer in a website form. I think is the easiest way that I can say it. You can give them a URL and they can pass that URL to different people. They can pass that URL to different people that are buying. They can pass it to anybody else. I mean, out there, where you guys have the opportunity to be able to differentiate yourself. You're not an email. You're not a piece of paper that's sitting on their desk. You now have an interactive form that's going to allow them to understand why and how you guys are the best. So putting that information in here not only allows you to be able to differentiate yourself, it also allows you to be able to have real conversations with sales manager and your sales manager on truly what's going on. Now, if you are a sales manager and you're sitting inside here, this has always been music to my ears, because it allows me to be able to go into each one of these, click on it, and now I can actually interact with my sales rep on exactly what's going on. Right? What questions? What's the problem? What's the goal? Right? What have they tried inside the past? Are they using another contractor? All of the questions that we should be asking in our discovery phase, right? All the questions that the nurse literally has to fill out the piece of paper or go in, right, and actually enter all the stuff inside the computer. It's no different, guys. They have a specific set of questions that they have to ask. They have to take your pulse. They have to take your blood pressure. They have to do all of that. That's all good discovery. Let's learn from what some of the other industries, some of the other practices are doing to be able to make ourselves grow that. So step number 2, your time is most valuable asset. So I'm going to speed through some of this stuff. I'm going to highly recommend time blocking. If you guys are doing it, it'll talk a lot about it and getting things done. Time blocking is basically saying, I have a specific time that I'm going to get this done. The quote that I will use is eat the frog in the morning, because nothing will be worse. I want to say John Wayne is the one that brought that up. And I say that because at the end of the day, you guys only have so many hours that your client actually responds to an email, right? Or answers the phone. So use that time wisely. Don't go around bypassing, avoiding, right, your golden hours, which is ultimately the time that your client's going to pick the phone up. Do your data entry early inside the morning. Whatever it is that you hate doing, do it inside the morning, because the rest of your day, you won't be procrastinating and hating the end of the day that you have to get something done. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. Calendly is something that I would highly recommend if you guys don't use it. It allows other people to be able to access your calendar. You can block time off. It's a fabulous, fabulous tool. Delegation is the second thing I'm going to tell you guys. Again, you only have 24 hours in a day. You only have so many hours that your clients pick the phone up. And what you really have to do is say, okay, how much is my time worth? And I made this choice after reading 4 Hour Work Week. Again, another recommendation for you guys, because ultimately is my time as a leader, a manager, a founder of the company I am, is my time best trying to figure out how to format something in Excel? It's not. There's someone that knows how to do it. There's someone that can do it quickly for me and help me. So you have ability to be able to delegate tasks that maybe aren't best suited for you. And that's okay. As a individual, you have to understand, again, what your strengths are, right? What is your best asset? And if it's sitting down in front of customers and selling, that's what you love doing, then focus on doing that. How can you do more of that? That's the challenge that we need to overcome. So I talk about virtual assistants. This is true. This is directly from mine from a little while back. But I use virtual assistants, and I have all of them that are lined up, and they do all kinds of different tasks. Some are specialized inside writing. Some are specialized inside Excel or different documents like that. You can see I have them do FAQs for my websites, terms and conditions, all kinds of different stuff they're doing for me. Ultimately, it's not perfect when I get it back, but I can tell you it's a lot better than me spending hours trying to figure it out or work up on it. So virtual assistants can be huge. This is Time Etc. is who I use for this, but there's a ton that's out there. The only word of advice that I will give you guys is the cheaper they are, is the less likely it is that they speak English and that they understand. Because translation is huge. If you guys haven't been through this, translation is huge. Just because I say something, and if you ever use Google Translate, sometimes, it butchers what it's doing. It's no different. So I encourage you guys to be able to find one. I'm not telling you US based, but again, there is a dollar threshold that if you're paying someone 25 cents an hour to do a task for you, it might not be what you want or what you expect. So just understand what's there. I think the last one I have on here is Task Manager. So I use Todoist. It looks something like this. It can be set up all kinds of different ways, but everything that I have to do in a day, I put into a task manager. And I've been doing this well into my national account world and several past positions that I held within corporate entities, where every task that I had, think about having a folder for every employee, right? When you do one-on-ones or anything else like that. Or think about having a folder maybe for every one of your primary clients or every one of your divisions, to where you can literally brain dump. We talked about having nothing on your brain when you go into that meeting with your customer, right? This is how you do it. Write it down. I don't care if it's a piece of paper. I love Todoist because it travels everywhere with me. It's on my computer, it's on my iPad, it's on my laptop, it's on my phone. Find whatever works for you guys, but get it out of your head, because your brain is not made to remember things. It's made fight or flight, to keep you alive, to keep you breathing, right? And to be able to keep you in conversations. Don't use it to remember things, because it's only going to make it harder. And when you forget something, it's going to be big. This will never let me forget it. This will allow me to be able to take each task and make sure that I get it done. So look into a task manager. You can also use a CRM. If you guys have a CRM that you're using, that's fabulous. Figure out how to use it. You can use tasks, to-dos, meetings, again, wherever it is. Find what works for you guys. This is what I have found worked for me. But if you want to be in that top 1%, you have to use your time wisely. There's no doubt about that. Some of the other ones that I have inside here, I know there's reminders that the iPhone has. I use Todoist. Again, there's a handful of different areas. Most of them you don't have to pay for, so they're free, which is nice. So you can play around, see what you like. And if you got something that works, tag it in. Always you can use a Facebook group, anything else like that. We'll roll it. And then finally, habits. This is something I'm just going to go through real quick. I'm an email zero kind of guy, which means if I have something that takes more than 10 seconds, I automatically put it in Todoist. There's been times where I had 100 emails by 10 a.m. and it's just a nightmare. Take the time, clear your inbox out, because if you are getting all of these worthless emails, it takes you, let's just say, 30 seconds to be able to stop getting that email forever by unsubscribing. And by marking it as read or just bypassing 50 of them all at one time, it's something that ultimately, as a 1%er or a top performer, you shouldn't have to deal with. So treat that inbox as protected, as locked. And I think you can probably get pretty far. There is a book called the 10-second rule, which is pretty good too. Kind of applies on that same rule that if it takes you more than 10 seconds to have the answer for, it's a project. I saved you the book. But again, all good habits to be able to have, and each thing that I have done to be able to make inside there. The one thing I'll say, guys, is right here on the screen. Hold yourself accountable. I can give you all the tools, all the information, but information means absolutely nothing if you don't use it. It means absolutely nothing if you're not accountable to yourself. So huge part inside that, if you're not accountable to yourself, none of this is going to work, which means if you allow your calendar to get multiple days behind, you're not accountable to yourself. If you allow calls and voicemails to go unanswered for multiple days, you're not accountable to yourself. So I say that, and at certain points you might disagree, you might be upset with it, but what you have to do is figure out what your accountability is. And if it's communication, great. If it's sales, great. If it's operations, great. But be accountable to what you're going to do. Be accountable to what you say you're going to do. Step 3, perfect your process. So what I'm going to tell you is do what works. I can tell you from this side, working with David, creating the whole buyer action plan, the questions, I'm here presenting this to you guys because I can tell you it works. I use it, I do it, I train it, all of this different stuff. So again, information is only as good as what you guys do with it. So if you're not leaving this meeting and taking it and executing on this, you're only hurting yourself, and you've now wasted 50 minutes with me that could have been somewhere else. And I say that because I'm a straightforward, direct kind of guy. Take the information, use it, ask the questions out in the field. If you don't have a copy of this, and you're new coming to the group or whatever it is, guys, just email me. It's chad@servicealignment.com. Email me. I'll shoot this over to you. You don't have to screenshot it or anything else to be able to work through all that. Buyer-centric selling, right? So checkpoint 1, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because we're getting toward the end and we can actually get done on time. So 3 questions, right? Do they need to act? Do they need outside service? And finally, do we have the best solution? So all 3 of those tie in to having that perfect journey, right? That perfect checkbox that not only is creating accountability and clarity for you, but also for your customer. So if you and your customer both agree that it's not the right fit, that is beautiful. That's okay. And you have to become okay with walking away from an opportunity and not bidding absolutely everything that you have. That's how you increase your close ratio, guys, is you don't quote jobs that you don't know are going to sell, or don't check the check boxes. We've truly made it that simple to where you guys can increase your close ratio. You can increase the average amount by making obviously the problem, the larger problem, more evident, and getting clarity and confidence in that. So checkbox 1, checkbox 2, checkbox 3, we've gone through the confirmation close. This is here for a reason. Once you have done everything, guys, it comes down to 3 questions. And again, this is us giving all the information to you. Question 1, is everyone still aligned to the problems? I can't tell you how many times I have went into meetings, a contractor has proposed something different, and my customer is on a different planet than I am because they're like, oh man, that liquid membrane, that roof restoration idea was absolutely beautiful. And now my 60 mil TPO that I've spent months on putting together, hopefully not months, weeks, days, whatever, is now garbage. Ask the question, are we still aligned to what's going on? Are we still clear on how our solution solves their problem? If you're not, go back to the drawing board. Don't pass go. Don't deliver the proposal. That's what I'm saying. Don't put it in an email and fire it off. Number 2, is everyone still aligned to the expected outcomes if the problems were to be solved? Which means, is it still big enough that you guys need to spend money on? Things can change, right? Oh, I just found out we're selling the building. I just found out this is happening. We just had a machine go down. The HVAC just went out and we spent all of our budget on this. Ask the question. That complete alignment part that we talked about, right? Being right in line with them, that 2 degrees of separation will make things horrible when it comes to following up and you're not getting a phone call back. And number 3, do you guys still believe that we're the right solution to solve the current problems and get you to your desired outcome? What we're talking about is a journey, a partnership, a relationship, right? We're not talking about a one-time sale. We're not talking about signing the contract where the lowest price we can get this done for you. We're talking about building relationships where you guys don't have to hunt every single day, but you're more farming, you're scaling, you're growing your business, and you're working with customers that truly value what you bring to the table. I know I said a lot there, guys, but then what it really comes down to is that do the customers that you guys work with value you, or do the customers that you guys work with challenge you, beat you up for price, shop your proposal, and then give it to someone else after you spent hours trying to be able to create something that's unique to them? And they say, you know what, we actually went with somebody else. You guys want to work with those people again? The answer is maybe. I'm going to tell you, stronger process, stronger relationship, stronger understanding to the goal, because more than likely the goal was shifted somewhere inside the mix that you guys didn't have it. So that is the 4D process, guys. That is Headspace. We are 6 minutes ahead, which proves David slows me down, which is a fabulous thing because now I can use that to get him next time. So 4D sales process. I'm jamming through, guys. If you have questions, tag them in. If not, 17%. Okay, we did get one answer inside there. I don't know which one it was for, but it was 17%. That's a close ratio. You should really work on that. But yeah, so I'm going to be rolling out some metrics for you guys. There's some cool stuff that I'm doing with audits. So lead, sales, and service audits. Close ratio, I'll just throw this out there. On a service side, you should probably be somewhere between, I would say, 38 to 50% on your close ratio. So when you're getting inside on a service side, your capital side will be lower. So I'll say capital side is probably somewhere between, I'll say 20 to 30%. And we can go all through those numbers. We can explain why they're different. But at the end of the day, everybody here is unique. And if you're positioning your product as a specialty, and when I say these numbers, ultimately, don't get upset to say, you know what, there's no way I'll get to 50%. There's no way I'll be at 30%. Because if I only quote 3 jobs all year, right, and I sell 2 of those 3, I sell 1 of those 3, I'm at a 33% compared to the guy who bid every single job that he got. He bid 100, right? He got 5, and he said he has a 5%. So we got to figure out where we want to be. We got to figure out the numbers that matter. And then we got to figure out, okay, how do we manage and improve those numbers? And not double the numbers. I'm talking incremental improvements across the entire funnel. That's what we're about, guys. This has been No Reps Left Behind. Cody, thank you for tagging that stuff in. I love that you know the numbers. If you guys don't, you got my challenges throughout this. Figure out what your lead to meeting ratio is. Figure out your meeting to quote ratio. If you don't know where it is, reach out to me. I'll help you find it. You have a CRM. You have all types of different tools that is capturing information about your book of business. And the more you know, is the better you're going to be able to manage it. Better you're going to be able to improve it. Appreciate it, guys. Have a good one. And you're early. Enjoy the 4 extra minutes I gave you. Thanks.